I'm Dennis Anderson along with Julie Zenner, and here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
Big news for the United Way in the Twin Ports this week. The formerly separate Superior and Duluth organizations are joining forces in a merger.
Youth here in Duluth who have been the victims of sex trafficking will soon have a safe place to live. We'll tell you about Soul House, a new project of Lifehouse.
And we'll have the week's business headlines and find out what was making news in our region 25 years ago.
It's all coming up next on Almanac North. Hello and welcome once again to Almanac North. Thank you very much for watching. Julie, spring appears to be on hold this week.
Yeah, it's a bit chilly out, but I'm holding out hope that it's coming.
Things will improve next week.
It's
going to get warmer. All right, let's get started.
Okay. Thank you, Denny, and welcome everyone. A natural rivalry has existed for years between Duluth and Superior, two cities separated by a river and a state border. But in recent times, a new spirit of cooperation has grown between two communities that share so much in common. This week, another example of that teamwork. The United Way organizations and the two communities are moving forward with a merger. Board members have agreed to join forces in their effort to raise money that is distributed to many local organizations. Well, joining us to talk about the merger is Kathi Madsen, the Executive Director of the United Way of Superior Douglas County, and Bryce Nixon is a board member of the United Way of Greater Duluth and a member of the Merger Task Force. And ladies, thank you so much for coming in tonight. We appreciate it. Kathi, how long have the two organizations been talking about a merger?
We probably opened the dialogue about a little over a year ago, but then this past December started meeting on a regular basis.
Was there a catalyst for it?
I think it was, we do some of the business campaigns together. We both fund 5 or 6 agencies together on Duluth side, and it just, I was getting ready to retire. It just seemed like a natural time. Yeah. The timing was right.
Bryce, what are the benefits to a merger?
Well, a lot of people in Duluth and Superior and the Greater Twin Ports really don't conduct their lives in just one community. They go across the bridge for a lot of reasons, for work, for their residents, for community activities, and so a lot of the issues that face our communities go across that bridge. And so we wanted to be able to address people's concerns throughout the community, and we felt like we could do that better as a united organization. A lot of the efficiencies that come with a united organization would be available to us, and we wanted to be able to let people make their contributions to United Way at their workplace without having to worry about whether it was going to the Superior United Way or the Duluth United Way.
Is it possible for a merged organization to raise more monies than you would separate?
We hope so, and we think so.
Now, Kathi, you mentioned that you are going to be retiring, and I understand you were a paid staff of one in Superior?
Yes, I like to tell people that the Christmas parties are a lot of fun. It's just me. So we have a lot of volunteers from the college and WITC, and adult volunteers as well. So otherwise, I couldn't do everything by myself. But I am the only paid staff.
So organizationally, this may be great for Superior because
Definitely.
there's a much larger staff currently in Duluth right now, right?
There is.
Will you have an office in Superior or staff who are dedicated to Superior, so there will still be a presence over there?
Right. They what they have agreed to do, the new agency, will continue to have the same office space that we have now, and they're hiring somebody full-time who will work in both places, so there'll still be a presence in Superior and Douglas County.
If I live in Superior or Duluth, where will my financial gift end up?
You're able to either designate it to Duluth or Superior, or we also run a campaign up the North Shore currently, and we'll continue to do that. Or you can leave your gift undesignated, and then it'll go to the area of greatest need.
Was there any resistance at all to this?
Oddly enough, people in Douglas County were concerned that their money would come over here. And at the same time, we were hearing over here that people were concerned their money would go and fund Superior. And my take on it is we're two strong organizations, and together we're going to be even stronger.
Have the priorities of the two organizations been pretty much the same in terms of the types of organizations and agencies that you fund, or will there have to be some adjustments there?
Right now we've talked about keeping the allocations separate so that we can continue to fund the agencies that we fund in Douglas County. But nationwide, United Ways believe in doing 3 separate programs. We follow those, but then we have different community impact issues. So over the years, we'll meld them together. The mission's so closely aligned.
Combined, how many agencies will you fund through the merger?
I don't see the. I don't know that I can give you an exact number. I don't think it'll change dramatically, though. It hasn't changed dramatically over the past several years, at least on the Duluth side, and I don't think that's been true for the Superior side.
Are we talking several dozen agencies that
Several
receive
dozen,
funding?
several dozen.
We fund 24 agencies, but we really fund programs. So we fund about 30
Sure.
programs. And so I'm sure they fund at least double that.
We
So,
do, yeah.
And those program focus areas are what, primarily?
Education, income, and health, and basic needs.
Are you hearing anything at all from the partner agencies as word starts to trickle out about this?
You know, there's always a little bit of concern when there's a change. I think for the most part, though, they're excited about the opportunity for there to be some continuity and some similarities between the application process and the funding process between the two communities. It'll make it easier for them to apply for funding across the bridge, because obviously their activities don't stop at that bridge either.
Prior to the merger, did the two agencies, Duluth and Superior, help each other? Or is this going to be something new?
I think we have helped each other. It happened more than let's plan this, but we've done things together. So now we've tried to organize and plan more of those things than just letting them happen.
And as you head into retirement, what are some of the things that you want to make sure stay put in the organization that you've worked hard to build over
I think the
years?
visibility. When I took the job 8.5 years ago, my coworkers at the county said, "Won't you hate driving to Duluth every day?" And I said, "There's a United Way in Superior. My office is going to be down the block." So I think we need to be visible and remain visible in both communities.
From an organizational standpoint, how will the merger look different? Are there boards of directors on both sides of the pond, office, staff? Is there going to be some big changes that you as organizers and as administrators will see?
Some of that is still being worked out. The merger is going to take effect on July 1st. That's our target date. We obviously have 2 separate boards, and those are going to merge as well. Right now they're going to merge in total, and we're going to sort of see how that works out. And the staff is going to merge. One of you from Superior is going to come over to Duluth for right now. And then we do have some staff up the North Shore as well. And we're trying not to make too many decisions before we know what the ramifications of all those things are going to be.
And so you'll be working in a transition
Right.
role.
Right. And I'll be working with the new person that's hired. And so they can start building those relationships
Yeah.
that I've worked on and
Yeah.
have a smooth transition.
Is the United Way finding it more difficult to raise monies with the cost of living going up in so many different areas?
You know, I think fundraising is always a challenge for a whole lot of different reasons. But at least our campaign on the Duluth side has stayed pretty constant over the years, and that's to the credit of the Duluth community, the generosity of the Duluth community.
It's the same for us
Yeah.
over there, and generous people, and they're ready to help their neighbors. And I think that's shown time and time again.
You've been around a long time, so people are familiar with you.
you talking about United Way or me?
Well, maybe both, but I know United Way for sure.
Yes, we've been around 79 years over
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Talk about how this year's campaign has gone.
Well, for us,
going
we're at 97% of our goal, and we've been able to fund the agencies a little bit more than the level that we did last year, so that's good news. So we're still doing everything that we've done, and I can only see it getting better in the future.
And how about on the Duluth side?
And the Duluth campaign has gone well as well. We have a new executive director in Duluth, Matt Hunter, and so there's been that transition, and he's brought some really nice new energy to the organization.
And then is Matt going to be taking over as the director of the new organization?
He will, and that was also part of the reason for the change at this point. We felt like that was kind of a good time with Kathy's departure and Matt's arrival for the merger to happen.
So this is happening from the organizational standpoint, at least, at a pretty good time. Yeah.
So the agencies that receive the money from the United Way, how do you decide like what percentage goes to each one of them? Is there a process that each of the United Ways has to follow, or is each organization different in terms of how
Every
they
organization
distribute
is
those
different.
monies?
We're all autonomous, and we're in the process right now of doing the allocations panels. So the panels are volunteers, and they make the recommendations on our side to a community investment committee who makes a recommendation to the board. And based on need, based on presentation, based on the amount of money we have, they make those recommendations. Because you can't fund everybody, and you can't be all things to all people. You have to make some hard decisions.
What do you want to tell our audience about the United Way that you feel they should know in terms of how they can help the community?
Well, one of the reasons I've been involved with the United Way board for this many years is that I feel like there are a few organizations in our community where your dollars can go as far. We really reach out to every little corner of the community and just have a tremendous impact in how this community moves forward.
And I think for me, we don't have a time. It used to be a specific time. We raise funds all year round. We're here all year round. People need help all year round. People give all year round.
Now this is all kind of new to the public. I don't know how many people in the community or in our viewers were even aware that this was taking place. Is there a real concerted communication campaign as you head into the next campaign so that people understand what's going on and how it all works?
We've been out talking to our most loyal supporters. A lot of our campaign is directed around workplace campaigns, and so we have been out in the companies talking to them and letting them know what's going on, and that will start to spread out throughout the community to let people know what's going on and what they can expect.
And a name change coming?
When we don't know what that is
Okay,
yet.
all right.
We're open to suggestions.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and
Thanks
good
for
luck.
having
Good luck
us.
with your retirement,
Thank
your
you.
transition to retirement, and good luck as the two organizations come together.
Thank
It's
Kathy,
exciting.
Bryce, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, let's dig into our news file archive for a look at what was making news 25 years ago this week.
Northwest Airlines Chairman Al Checky spent the entire day checking out Duluth. Upon arrival, the VIP was greeted at Gate 3 by civic leaders anxious to sell the city with a mix of business and pleasure.
A little bit of both. I think what we want to do is to kind of try and strike a balance between talking a little bit about the quote deal, but at the same time emphasizing what Duluth is about in terms of being a community, and particularly hopefully a community where Northwest can flourish with this type of project.
Attracting an Airbus maintenance base topped the day's agenda, so city officials took Checky on a whirlwind tour of Duluth.
It is clear that this is an outstanding community. It's clear that this is a place where we would be able to operate and know that our people are getting great support locally, that there are great schools and a wonderful environment.
Duluth is one of 137 cities served by Northwest. Checky could make no promises the Airbus base would be built here, but says the city is in the running. One disadvantage is that Northwest would have to fly planes into Duluth from existing hubs to have maintenance done here. Checky ended his day as keynote speaker at the Hall of Fame dinner. Officials hope when Checky leaves Duluth, he pictures the city in his plans for a $200 million Airbus base. Kevin DiLorenzo, KDLH News.
Duluth's Lifehouse has been providing support services to homeless youth in the Twin Ports for many years. Now this week, the organization announced a new initiative that will help young victims of sexual exploitation. Soul House will provide a safe place to live for victims of sex trafficking, and staff will be able to provide education, counseling, and support to the youth living there. Joining us now to talk about Soul House is Shannon Hoffman, the development director at Lifehouse. And Shannon, how big a step is this to provide this safe place for these young people? This is a big move.
It's a big move, definitely, for Lifehouse. It's the only type of housing like this in the community specifically for sex trafficked youth. It's providing 5 beds for these kids. Like I said, it's the only one in the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How widespread is the whole problem of commercial sex trafficking in Duluth? Because I think a lot of people in our community think that that's something that happens somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's not going on here. But you and your organization see this every day.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a hard thing to talk about. People don't want to acknowledge that something like that's going on here. It's not something you see. Part of the reason is because where it's happening is on the web more than any place, on Backpage, on Craigslist, on things like that. But some general statistics that we have from like the Women's Foundation of Minnesota says, things like 50% of sex trafficked victims are homeless youth. 75% of youth caught in prostitution are controlled by a pimp. And on any given night, we have 100-ish homeless youth on the streets. And based on just our intake forms and people and kids that don't know us even very well, the first time they've met some of our staff, 20 to 30% are saying that they've been involved in some sort of sexual exploitation. So
Shannon, how do you find victims of sex trafficking, or do they find you? Or does it work both ways?
Well, we're partnering with different agencies in the community. So for one, we partner with the police department, but also with PAVSA. They have a regional navigator who is tasked with kind of directing them to us. So we are partnering. Part of it is they self-report to us.
It seems like it's something that not only shame associated with it, but fear, especially if you're in a situation where you are being trafficked by somebody else. And so, being able to trust somebody like your organization has to be a real step for these kids.
Yeah, and I would say that I think part of the misconception with sex trafficking and sexual exploitation is that it's not a step, it's not just a one-step process. It's not you run into someone and you have a pimp. It tends to be a process. It tends to be you're a vulnerable youth on the street, and it's not gender. There are boys and girls. This house isn't going to be just for girls. So a boy or a girl doesn't depend on your sexual orientation, gay, straight, any of that. But for some, you're vulnerable and you're homeless and you're on the street and you run into someone and they promise that they're going to take care of you and they offer you a phone or they offer you money or they offer you shelter.
So they fall for that.
And they say they're going to take care of you. And then the next step is they ask you to do something that you don't want to do. And then it continues on, and then all of a sudden you don't have any friends and that person is in control of your phone, but you still feel like that person is there to take care of you.
Shannon,
and it just keeps going.
In addition to having a safe place to sleep, what other kind of support services will be available at Soul House?
Wraparound. So by that I mean, because the kids that are going to be there in the house are going to be 16 to 18, they'll be required to be in school. So they'll have educational support while they're there. They'll have access to any of our other programming. So, for example, our Futures Education and Employment programs, but also probably more importantly, our mental health and wellness. So we have a licensed clinical social worker on site, free of charge to them. And then we have another staff member who will be working with them with like substance use, chemical dependency, things like that.
Will there be a limited amount of time they can stay at Soul House?
It's a 2-year program.
2-year
yeah.
program. Oh.
So they could come at 17 and stay till 19 theoretically, but it's admission by 16 to 18.
Now, I understand that you've already found a location, a house has been purchased.
Yeah.
Talk about the facility itself. And I think we have some video of it. So
Yeah, maybe while I'm talking in my run, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful. It's a 5, we're not going to disclose the location, of course, just
Right.
obviously, but for it's a 5-bedroom, 5 private rooms for the youth, 2 full bathrooms. It's got a kitchen and a dining room, of course, but a craft area, a classroom, a living room. We'll have weekend activities. It's been newly remodeled. We've been working really closely with One Roof Community Housing.
Oh,
It's sort
sure.
of it's really impressive what 2 small nonprofits can do together, in my opinion. We were on the, Maud Dornfeld is our executive director, and she was talking on the phone with Jeff Corey over there and discussing one of her ideas of the things that she wanted to do, just noticing what the needs were in the community. And he was like, I'll just kind of keep my eye out. And a week later, he's like, I have the perfect place for you. And so, just in the last 6 months or so, this has been.
When will
in the
Soul
works.
House open?
We're shooting for June. Mid-June is probably more likely. We have all the paperwork and it requires a special license. So mid-June is what it's looking like.
Do you still need some financial support?
Absolutely, yeah.
How can
Always.
how can somebody take advantage of that and get you the financial support?
Well, there's a couple of different ways. We actually have right now a $10,000 challenge match from the Lottie Family Foundation, and you can help us meet that challenge match by going to our website. There's a link right there. You can make a gift to Soul House and help us reach that match. But the other thing, which is actually maybe a much cooler way to do it, we have our annual graduation ceremony every year, but it's also our fundraising gala. But the graduation ceremony part of it is set up so that we honor up to 30 of our youth who have done pretty amazing things. And they don't have to necessarily graduate like the mainstream, like necessarily from a mainstream high school. They are our graduates, a Lifehouse graduate, and they've done something pretty significant in their last 6 months with us. They've done something like maintained housing for 6 months, maintained sobriety for 6 months, or hit some incredible milestone for them. So we come and celebrate them.
Okay.
But part of that is a fundraiser, and that money will also support Soul House.
And if people would like to participate in that, when is it, where is it, and how do they get a ticket?
Yeah, left that out, didn't I? That is May 14th at the Graceland Ballroom, and they can purchase tickets online at our website as well.
Yeah. Is Soul House patterned after some other facility in other towns, or are you blazing new ground?
As far as I know, blazing new ground, but I know that there are other houses similar to this. I think Lifehouse had before my time. At Lifehouse, they had a couple of communal houses like this. Phoenix House was one of them.
Okay.
And I think there's another house.
Now, a couple of weeks ago, we had some folks from Lutheran Social Service on, and they share some space with you in the what is it? The Life Building.
The Lifehouse. What's the Lifeline building?
Lifeline building. Sorry about that. And they're going to be having a facility for homeless youth, not necessarily sex trafficked, but it'll free up some space for Lifehouse in that facility, I understand. Any plans for expansions or new things that you see taking place there?
It's really interesting, because once they are able to move out and into their own facility, that opens up 6 beds upstairs for us to expand into that space. Right now, we're tossing around ideas. We don't know anything specific, but we're talking about maybe housing for males, because that is an underserved group of people, believe it or not. That's hard for young males to find housing.
All right. Shannon Hoffman, Lifehouse Development Director for Soul House and the whole organization. Thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You did. Let's turn now to the week's top business news from Business North. Mesabi Nugget will continue to idle its Hoyt Lakes iron nugget plant until pig iron prices rise back above production costs. The news was revealed by Steel Dynamics, the company's owner, in its first quarter report. The Hoyt Lakes facility was idled in February to reduce company-wide inventory and install equipment to improve productivity. Since then, pig iron prices have declined significantly, falling below the company's production cost. Steel Dynamics said it will continue to assess the situation and, in the meantime, keep Mesabi Nugget at idle.
Dr. Peter Person, retiring Essentia Health Chief Executive, was named Business Person of the Year Wednesday by the UMD Leibovitz School of Business and Economics. Person served as Chief Executive and President of St. Mary's Duluth Clinic and became Chief Executive of Essentia Health in 2004. The Entrepreneurial Leadership Award was presented to Ed Williams of Nelson Williams Linings and Mountain Iron. Also recognized were The Local Boy in Grand Rapids, Berquist Imports in Cloquet, Thermalwood in Palisade, and DBS Residential Solutions and Frost River, both in Duluth.
The city of Duluth is working with United Properties of Minneapolis to create Kenwood Village. The 14,000 square foot mixed-use project will be located on the corner of Kenwood Avenue and West Arrowhead Road. The development will have about 85 apartments along with commercial space. Mayor Don Ness said it's the type of housing sought by young professionals. Customer parking will be available in a surface lot and residents will park in heated underground space. Construction is set to begin this summer with completion expected in 2016. For more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
Well, our time is nearly up, so call now if you have a comment. Dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message, or send an email to almanacnorth@wdse.org. Keep in mind, you can also visit the WDSE website for news and information about the station, updates on our broadcast schedule, and a whole lot more. Hope you enjoy your weekend.
Yeah,
Big plans?
Won't be really nice outside, but I'm going to do a little 5K walk tomorrow morning for
Wonderful.
Catholic schools.
Yep, I've
St.
got the
Raphael's.
Kiwanis TV auction over the weekend.
Yeah.
And I don't think this weekend I'll be sitting out on the deck. I'll have to wait till next weekend. It warms
All
up
right,
a little bit.
it'll
All right.
warm up.
Okay, it sure will. For Julie and the crew here at Almanac North, I'm Dennis Anderson. Hope you have a great weekend. Good night, everybody, and be kind.